Welcome to the Literary Apothecary. My name is Kate and today I'm here to talk about Side Jobs by Jim Butcher. This is a short story collection in his Dresden Files series, of course urban fantasy. I read this because I was gifted it from Leslie and it goes along with my Dresden reading. I've found a website that breaks down when to read each short story along with the novels and the novellas and all of that stuff. I will link that in the description below so you guys can follow along if you want to. My general thoughts about this collection is that, wow, this was such a fun collection of short stories, and these stories expanded the world building in the Dresden Files so much and helped develop our characters so much. It's a great glimpse in between Butcher's novels. Now, I won't be able to give you a lot of details here in both the spoiler-free description and my general thoughts about it, my thoughts on this book, because it's hard to talk about short stories in between novels without giving away any spoilers for the series. But a spoiler-free description for this short story collection is: here, together for the first time, are the shorter tales from Jim Butcher's Dresden Files series, a compendium of cases that Harry and his cadre of allies managed to close in record time. The tales range from the deadly serious to the absurdly hilarious. Also included is a new, never-before published novella that takes place after the cliffhanger ending of the new hardcover Changes, which at that time of the description it was written, it was new. Now it's like several years old. But that was the last book that I read too in this series. So the last short story in this collection, Aftermath, is the one that they're talking about that takes place right after Changes, and it is crazy. Finishing this book feels kind of very momentous and also bittersweet for me. I started reading this back in February of 2023 when I started my Dresden Files reading, and it feels like a huge moment to finish it, but also like, wow, especially with Aftermath being the last story in that collection and the way that whole story started and continued and finished. It just is like, wow. I can't wait to continue the rest of the Dresden Files, of course. I'm really itching to pick up the next book in this series. I want to get through a couple more audiobooks before I jump into that, but look for updates on that one coming soon. So, my call pile thoughts on this book are based on the stories as a whole, of course, as they always are with short story collections. Our characters, these stories do so much to develop our characters, and I love it. There are some short stories that we get in the point of view of other characters, and those are some of my favorites. I'll talk about those in just a minute. Our atmosphere and setting, of course, the world building in these stories is just top notch. We see not only more of Chicago and the US and the world, but we see more of Harry's magical world, the underworld, and all of these different magical places that you never knew were just so magical. A writing style, now most of the stories I loved, and some had to grow on me a bit. Our plot, these stories advanced our plot in ways that I never even would have imagined. Intrigue, some stories kept my interest more than others, but I was always interested to read the next short story. And enjoyment. I continue to enjoy Dresden books, and this collection helped further that love by adding in stories in between our novels. My favorite stories in this collection include Backup, which we got from Thomas's point of view, The Warrior, which we got from Michael's point of view, and Aftermath, which is the short story that comes right after Changes, and that's from the point of view of Murphy. And I have other thoughts on that, but I cannot say it because of spoilers for Changes. So if you've read Changes and you want to know my thoughts about Aftermath, and you've read Aftermath, or if you haven't and you're wondering about Aftermath, hit me up in the comments below and I'll talk all about it. This was a quick spoiler-free review because I didn't want to give away spoilers for the stories themselves or the series as a whole. These are dispersed throughout the first 12 books of the Dresden series, And so it's hard to talk about them in any kind of detail, not knowing where you guys are in the Dresden series or your interest in these, but I love them and I can't wait to talk more about them. In the comments below, hit me up if you want to talk about these short stories. If you've read Side Jobs before, let me know in the comments below. What was your favorite story and which ones are we going to talk about in the comments? As always, keep reading and I love you all to the moon and back. Bye.